Recording in progress.
Very good. Good afternoon and welcome to our October 18th, 2022 Commissioner Consent Agenda meeting. Let the record reflect that there were no written public comments for today's meeting. We do have all three commissioners are present and our executive management team. And I am going to start with then our open public forum. So I'll open that up for anyone wishing to testify on anything other than items on today's consent agenda. So I see someone coming down. Let's see. And so we will need to have you, for the record, just fill out a yellow form when you're done. And please state your name and title for the record.
Sure, Eric Robinson. I'm the Housing and Homeless Coordinator for the City of Spokane Valley.
Welcome. And you have 3 minutes.
Okay, that should be fine. So I have a statement about the Home ARP draft plan and some prioritizations for those funds. And this is from the staff and admin.
So that's actually then probably for a public hearing this afternoon.
Okay.
That'll be in just a little bit.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
No, that's okay. Just since that is on our agenda and we do have a public hearing on the Home ARP funds, we will be doing that after the consent agenda. So just in a few minutes. So you may just want to take a seat at the front.
Thank you.
And that way you'll be ready after the presentation. Thanks, Eric. Okay, with that, so this open public forum is for any items that is not on today's agenda. So *9 or raise hand function. Seeing no one, second call for anyone wishing to come down and testify for the open public forum. Third and final call. Seeing no one, I will close the open public forum and look to my fellow commissioners.
So, Madam Chair, I would move that we approve items 2A through 2O in today's agenda.
I will second the motion.
Awesome. I have a motion and a second to approve items 2A through 2O as presented on today's agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That will then take us to item number 3A on today's agenda, which is a public hearing in the matter concerning the approval of the submission of the Spokane County Draft Home Investment Partnership Program, Home American Rescue Plan Program, ARP, plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. So with that, I believe Kat Nichols is going to come up. Right there, and then just make sure that's on.
Okay. Yeah? Okay, good. Thank you for having me. So basically, this is the closing of the open comment period required by HUD for our one-time ARP home to the County Comprehensive Plan. And upon BOCC approval of the plan with public comment, it will be submitted to HUD for review. Their response will allow for us to proceed on the consideration of the use of those funds.
Thank you. And are you going to?
And I do believe, is Richard here? Yep, Richard's here. I'm going to introduce Richard Colton. Are you there, Richard?
I am here. Thank you.
Thank you. So Richard, do you have a presentation that you would like to give?
Not a presentation of sorts, but we have spent many months, primarily Christy Jeffers was the lead on putting our plan together after several stakeholder meetings and entertaining several public comment opportunities as well as online surveys. We are prepared to move forward with this plan. And our submission to HUD is to gain approval on this plan. And after that, then we are able to put into action the allocation of these funds to eligible activities. And that's really all I have to say on it right now. The commissioners have had this plan. We've passed it around several times, and we've also had presentations during the CEO briefings and in coordination with Ariane and Jeff. And I believe this is a solid plan that will be receive approval. We have watched as HUD has probably disapproved more plans than they have approved, and we've tried to take some lessons learned, and hopefully we're submitting a really solid plan. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Kathleen is on if she wants to say anything or not.
I was just going to essentially just speak to the plan part itself, which is on page 14 of it, just as a quick recap of what Kat and Richard stated, and that is on page 14, it just outlines the funding and the uses of it. And so it is a total of $2.5 million, a little bit over that. And the breakout of recommendation in the plan is all based on the survey response, being the priority being for affordable housing. And so the first component is $103,647 for tenant-based rental assistance. And that would be to serve all qualified populations based on this grant as defined by HUD. Second component would be $2 million. And that is for the specifically for the use of developing up to 20 units of affordable housing. And Spokane County plans to make youth and young adults the preference, but we'll look at all eligible populations for that. And then the remainder is $450,781 for the Housing Community Development Department for administration and planning purposes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more comments? Does the commissioners have any comments or questions for Kathleen or Richard?
I'll have a quick. Kathleen, in reference to the $2 million, do you anticipate that being spent to sort of get existing projects sort of over the finish line, kind of use as sort of gap funding if they have a shortfall? I mean, just with because did you say 20 units? I mean,
Well, up to 20 units.
okay, because I mean with price escalation, I mean it's kind of difficult to build 20 units with $2 million. I'm just wondering, is that intended to other projects that maybe have existing funding but they're a little bit short, and that money will be used to get them over the finish line?
Yes, because there are other funding sources available for affordable housing, and so this would be a part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments for Kathleen? So, okay. With that then, this is a open public hearing item, and so then I will look to open up the public hearing process for item number 3A on today's agenda. So Eric, I'd like to have you come back.
Thank you. Eric Robinson, Housing Homeless Coordinator for the City of Spokane Valley. Have a brief statement about the plan, which we think in general is a good, solid plan. Given some time constraints, we hope to have a letter of support for this from the council as well, but they're not meeting till tonight, so we didn't have that available, so we hope to submit that as well. We would urge the county to consider proposals for use of home ARP funds that address any of the priority populations identified in the draft plan. The plan's current focus on youth and young adults is understandable, but we believe that projects focused on addressing this area's affordable housing crisis in general would have a positive impact on youth and young adult homelessness, while at the same time reducing red tape and expanding the scope of possible projects that can benefit our community. The draft plan states, quote, the development of affordable housing units was the highest priority need identified by servant respondents. It is common knowledge that Spokane County lacks adequate affordable housing to address the housing crisis, unquote. Further, the report adds that, quote, all qualified populations, including a subset of over 12,000 households with at least one severe housing burden, who are 0 to 30% of AMI, and an additional 11,385 households with at least one severe housing burden, making 30 to 50% of local AMI, unquote. The prioritization of affordable units is in line with the City of Spokane Valley's own housing action plan, which was adopted by Council in 2021. The city's plan identifies a need for 2,214 units of affordable housing for people who earn less than 80% AMI. The most recent statistics available from Spokane Valley's West Central and East Valley school districts has identified 780 homeless youth in our community. While some of these youth are unaccompanied, the majority are experiencing homelessness with a parent or caregiver. Providing housing that these families can afford is critical to stemming the future tide of instability that children who experience homelessness are more likely to live through as they age. The draft plan before you acknowledges this fact by specifically naming, quote, families and youth involved in child welfare system due to a lack of safe and affordable housing, unquote, as a priority population to be served with home ARP funding. When discussing youth and young adult housing projects with developers, we receive feedback that it's particularly challenging to create dedicated units for this population because of the need for significant ongoing supportive services that many require to remain stably housed. The concern is that without a commitment of ongoing funding for case management and other interventions, additional units alone would be missing a critical component needed for success. The draft plan calls out this same concern, stating the lack of ongoing supporting services was one of the top issues identified by survey respondents. If there is no plan for including funding on ongoing supportive services for youth and young adults, it could be missing a key component which makes these tenants successful. So in short, we think this is a good plan, but we would like to expand it to more than just a focus for youth and young adults for the reasons that we stated. All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much. So second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 3A. Use the raise hand function or *9 if you're on the phone. I'm not seeing anyone in the audience. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 3A. Not seeing anyone online or on the phone. I'm not seeing anyone else in the audience. So I will close the open public hearing on item number 3A and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I would move for approval of the submission of the Spokane County Draft Home Investment Partnership Program, Home American Rescue Plan Program, and ARP plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development as presented today.
I will second the motion.
I have a motion and a second for item number 3A. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to the end of our consent agendas. So, Mr. Simmons, is there anything else that we have for today?
We do not.
Okay. Then with that, I will conclude our meeting and adjourn it, and we will sign some paperwork and see you all next week. Thank you.